No Rest for the Wicked. Been playing this on and off since it came into early access back in 2024. Have genuinely really enjoyed my time with the game, as covered in the, I think it's been like 5 videos that I've made already. It's really, really fun. Is the game worth buying at the moment? I mean, there's a lot of game here, and I think it's genuinely very good. Obviously, it's not finished because it's still early access. There will be more to come, but I've had a lot of fun. I'm somewhere over 150 hours having played over the past 2 years. As with other early access titles that I enjoy, I try to check back in every so often, especially when they get a new big update. Well, just last week, they released No Rest for the Wicked Together, which beyond adding co-op, you can now play the game with others. This patch also came with a bunch of new systems, mechanics, additional loot to collect, which opens up all sorts of different builds, loads of quality of life upgrades, and some much needed performance improvements. Moon Studios is sponsoring this video. They asked me to let you know about the recent update, which I am more than happy to do so. This is one of those games that I just like it genuinely already. So I'm happy to see as well that they have addressed and fixed many issues with the prior update. Things were a little shaky there for a minute, but the game is now once again back to a very positive rating on Steam. I mean, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I really like this game. I genuinely think it's quite good already, as covered numerous times in the past. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and check out the latest update. Now, I want to start off by saying this is one of those games that I still get a lot of questions while playing. People more or less asking, hey, what kind of a game is this? There still seems to be some uncertainty. Is this a PoE-like game? Not really. I mean, so it's got ARPG elements for sure, with how its loot and theory crafting works, although it doesn't have a full-on skill tree or class system like Diablo or PoE do. But they have some randomness in gear progression and theory crafting build shit you can do for sure. It plays like a top-down Souls game, and it's got level design like a top-down Souls game as well. It's very weighty, animation priority kind of thing, dodge rolls. Literally, they've got the different weight class where you dodge different. So here's a medium dodge roll. When I switch to my staff, it bumps me into the heavy class because it weighs heavier. So here's a heavy dodge roll. It's really slow. And then if I take shit off, I can go into a light dodge roll, which is like a dash. Like, it's got that entire system. So the gameplay loop is go out, kill shit, gather mats, and do that again. It's part of the gameplay loop. That's what we're focused on at the moment, but you can just go out and farm and level up. You can go out and get upgrade resources. They have an infinitely playable crucible where you just go from room to room killing enemies. But there's multiple systems, and part of what you're trying to do is upgrade your town. But eventually you're done upgrading your town, and you're not really focused on that anymore. There's all sorts of randomness because it's an ARPG as well in terms of its loot. So you get loot with different roles, and then you can have different crafting for that gear. You can change the attributes. You can pull attributes you like, put it on other pieces of gear. You can upgrade stuff from white to blue to purple, and you'll get random bonuses, and maybe sometimes you get the ones you want, sometimes you don't. But yeah, it's an action combat game with various progression systems, and part of that is resources and whatnot. Okay, now as for all of the new stuff, well, first and foremost, as the update is called No Rest for the Wicked Together, they have, yes, finally added co-op to the game. So you can now play the game in groups of up to 4 people. Difficulty will be automatically scaling based on the number of people, increasing the quantity of enemies, the damage they deal, the health they have, and even adding new abilities. You mentioned you're playing on the hardest difficulty. Does it also go up the more players you have? Yeah, they do dynamic scaling. The more people in the lobby, the harder everything gets.
Well then.
Wow, okay. Okay, well.
Well then.
And the whole thing is hosted on free, private, persistent realms. So even if you're the one who creates the server, makes the world, and invites other people to it, if you go offline, everyone can still access it. It's just, that's how it works. It's open to anyone who's invited to the world or the server. So far, maybe unsurprisingly, yeah, it's been a lot of fun playing this game with friends. It was already fun solo. It's even more fun when you have some of your mates joining you as well. Watch. Oh my god. That's sick. All right, get this guy and then the elite. I'm gonna do my lightning slam. It's like a giant smash.
That guy is strong. Nice.
just tag teaming that guy. That's great. Yeah, this is a fun game. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about the co-op necessarily, but I'm really enjoying it. Now, as for some of the specific details about how co-op works, well, for starters, you invite people to your server. Once they're invited, as mentioned, anybody can join at any time. Players are also automatically grouped together whenever they are near each other, and this will be indicated by their player portrait with a chain link symbol next to it, meaning that you are in a party. So more players equals more challenge. Enemies will be scaling accordingly. Once there are 2 players, enemies deal 15% more damage with 20% more health. At 3 players, it's 20% damage, 25% health, and at 4 players, it's 30% damage and 35% health. Also, more enemies will spawn based on how many people are in your group. This will dynamically update in whichever zone you and your party are currently in. On top of that, in multiplayer lobbies, bosses even get entirely new abilities, further mixing up encounters from what you experience when you play solo. Think that hit him? Maybe not.
Really good for a top-down game.
Oh, that's new. I have never seen that. Oh, watch out, back up. Yeah, that I don't remember ever seeing that. That looks like a new attack. While playing in a party, there is a down but not out state where you can be revived. Any players in your group can spend 50% of their life to resurrect you, and upon resurrection, players will enter a small grace period where they cannot take damage. Oh, bro. All right, I'm gonna try to res you. Ink. And this is a great addition because also in this mode, there is friendly fire.
Yeah, okay. You wanna go?
Now, your abilities and your attacks will not be doing the full damage that they do to enemy NPCs. However, you can injure and damage teammates whenever you hit them with your attacks. So this then makes it so that careful positioning is required when you're engaging with enemies. There's also some player interaction. You can inspect players to check out their gear. There's also an entire trading system. So if you find a good piece of loot, you can give it to one of your friends in your lobby. I think it's kind of hard over there. So, oh, bow.
Oh, yes, please.
Trade. Here is a bow. Oh, let me give you the quiver too. Don't actually really. Is that an intelligent wand?
It is.
Oh, Jesus. Thank you very much, dude. As for how housing works in co-op lobbies, it's like this. Players can purchase their own individual homes in town, and then via a new guest system, they can grant permission to any other players in the lobby. You can even set permissions on individual chest and storage containers. So if you got like some special loot you don't want any of your party mates yoinking from you, you can make a private chest for all the really good stuff, and then a public chest for everything else you don't mind your friends taking. In terms of how questing works, it's done server-wide. So if one player advances the main story quest, it will advance for everyone on the server. I think this is largely done because the way the game works, I won't spoil anything for those of you who haven't played it, but the way the game works, there are some major overhauls and changes to the various zones in the game, especially as you continue to progress through the main story quest. So I think it makes sense that they're doing this while also still wanting everyone to play together. Beyond the addition of co-op, they've also made improvements and overhauls to several in-game systems. There are now 6 new ember types, which are used to transform and improve items. Basically, just more fine-tuning to the game's crafting and gear enhancement. Specifically, when it comes to crafting, they've significantly reduced the amount of materials needed to craft items, while also changing it so that a majority of items in the game are now craftable. This is done via the newly added scribe table, located in the main town next to Danos. Here, you can research and craft any item that you've ever collected in the game. So once you find an item, its availability to research will be unlocked. You then spend these research currencies to learn it, and then you can craft any item that you've learned. This research table, anything that you've picked up, you collect these research envelopes, like I've got 5 of them right now, and you can spend 1 envelope to recraft anything that you've ever found. So you don't have to stress about holding on to every single weapon necessarily. You can recraft it. It's going to give you a white version, and then you can upgrade it from there, either going from white to blue, or doing the gem stuff that I told you about. So it no longer is the case where you have to feel like you have to hoard items that you might use in the future, thusly taking up like a ton of storage chest spots. You can now safely get rid of stuff if you're unsure about it. If you change your mind in the future, you can recraft it, re-enhance it, and level it up and all of that. Refining materials can now be made quicker as well by adding fuel. So early on, say if you're crafting like iron ingots, you can throw some charcoal in there. This is gonna double or half the time it takes, double the speed, half the time. Status effects got some improvements. There are now 3 advanced status effects in the game, introducing some additional interactions. So for example, the overload effect makes it so that whenever you deal lightning damage to a burned target, creates a new powerful lightning AoE. My friend and I made great use of this. I would burn the targets, he would shoot his lightning arrows, big explosions ensued. If you lightning a burned target, So if I burn, I've got fire on my wand that you gave me. So if I burn a target and you have lightning arrows for them. So if you, oh yes, that's it. So he was burning and your lightning attacks then triggered AoE. See that? Wow, that's...
It explodes every time?
Yeah, every time he pops around him. That's great. There's a new compendium in the game as well, which will let you revisit any tutorials or cutscenes that has been unlocked on the server. So if you missed something and you want to catch up, you can go through the compendium to check it out, even if it's just missing a cutscene. There's been some gear changes. For starters, bows got a total rework. There's lots of new additional options, like new bow types in the game. Each of these coming with their own new unique attacks, their speeds and play styles. And they've also added quivers, 4 types that enhance your shots with different elemental damage types. Facets are now a thing. Gear can come with these innate modifiers called facets. This will change the way you interact with the item or to open up new build options for your character. And there are also now 9 new armor sets on top of all of the existing ones. And then there have been some enchantment improvements. Specifically, they've removed some kind of less useful enchantments and added a bunch of new ones. Some of those include Barrier, where you get an overshield, or the new Bleed debuff. And this one's pretty cool. You will apply Bleed, and then as the target moves, with bleed on them, they take damage. You stand still, you don't take damage. You move, you do take damage. That's worked in some other games that I played as well, if I recall. So that is a bulk of the new stuff that came with this update, but just as exciting is a rather long list of improvements that were made. Right near the top here is we have got a long list of changes that they made to improve the game's performance, which was one of the bigger pain points during early access, and I did notice it runs much better pretty much immediately jumping in here. On top of that, there is a rather long list of improvements to quality of life and some pretty big stuff in here. Okay, so for starters, that entire town upgrade system where you would research things you want to upgrade in town and then you have to wait multiple real world hours, that's been scrapped. No longer are the real world timers in the game. They removed those completely, and now anything you research will pretty much be ready instantly. Takes 5 seconds, but nearly instantly. So now how it works is you just have to go out, find the resources you want, bring those resources to Danos, select the project, unlock an upgrade, and that's going to be available right away, whether it's different traversal options like the elevator or the staircase, or upgrading vendor crafting stations to gain access to higher tiers. There's a new resource gathering mini game that I really enjoyed. Now you will get an indicator whenever you are gathering a resource via the stamina wheel. Perfect hits will reduce the number of times you need to strike the tree or the ore node or the dirt as you're shoveling it up. Just a little extra additional thing to interact with while you're gathering, and I did find it made it more engaging. This is something else that was new. People were asking earlier, this timed mini game used to not be the case. Basically how it worked before is the harvesting things came in different tiers, and the higher the tier, the quicker. It's just, they do it based on damage values, right? If you got a high enough tier axe, you would eventually one-shot the tier 1 trees. That's how the progression worked, but now there's a mini game which increases the damage you do to it. Some other quality of life improvements include they've bumped base stamina regeneration from 30 to 35. You can now fast travel to any whisper locations you've discovered in the game, rather than how it previously worked. You could only go to the last one or town. Now you can go to any one that you've unlocked. With this, there's a new counter as well that will show you the number of whispers that are there in total in each area and how many you've unlocked so far. With the multiple new features in this update, they've also added new tutorials for all of them, along with improving some tutorials for the existing ones. Shields will now show stamina regeneration penalty that they incur while being actively held. They've added a preview for weight differences when equipping and de-equipping gear. So this will tell you if you're going to stay in the light, medium, or heavy roll range, depending on what you're about to put on or take off. There's a new training dummy in the upper section of Sacrament. Enemies that are blocking player attacks with shields will now have a new block hit reaction, just kind of making that more impactful. And they've added some new animations of the game for the heal ability, channel, return, and heal aura, depending on the weapon that those runes are equipped to. A bunch of other stuff here as well, like gameplay animations. Cooking food on the cooking station now has its own specific animations attached to it. There have been improvements to the UI for the realm screen, crafting table, and scrolls. For game modes, players will now encounter more enemies throughout the whole game whenever playing on the unspoken difficulty. They did a round of polish to the game's cinematics. Several areas or zones within the game have been updated and improved with better polish, better traversal sections, adjustments to puzzles and enemy locations, etc. Vendors got an update. Stock is now randomized and can contain a wider variety of items relevant to that vendor. Adjustments to enemies and bosses. They've added the ability to backstab most every enemy in the game. Any elites and bruiser types types have to be drained, knocked out into a poised broken state, but then they can also still be backstabbed. Elite enemies now also have elemental infusions depending on what faction they belong to, and there's a bunch of anti-range added to the game, new anti-ranged abilities, as well as enemies now exhibiting more aggressive behavior towards any players who are using range. I think this is good because even still, it seems like range is pretty strong. It's a safer bet of the two, right? Tons of balance changes made to not only improve combat, but also the pacing of the game. New music for different bosses, as well as several zones. There's also been audio improvements to the overall mix to combat, enemies, bosses, environments, and interactables. Several new and improved visual effects in the game, and a long list of bug fixes. This section alone was bigger than the entire length of the rest of the patch notes here. Like, just an insane amount of bug fixes. Really nice to see, and that in conjunction with the performance improvements have been a noticeable bump in the game's quality. And yeah, that's pretty much our look at the latest update to No Rest for the Wicked. Just about covered all of the new additions, changes, and improvements. And I've had a fun time playing this update thus far, hoping to get some more playtime in this coming week as well. In general, as mentioned at the top and as covered in all of my prior videos, I've really enjoyed this game. Like, ever since it first came into early access, I've had a lot of fun with it, and it's just kept getting better. They did hit a little bit of a rough patch around the launch of their prior update, but that seems to have been smoothed out again, as mentioned, and as you can see on the game's Steam page, they're back to very positive. People are pretty happy with its current state, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it all lands when they eventually release into 1.0, but already I have quite enjoyed it. If you like what you've seen here and would like to learn more, or maybe check out the game for yourself, now is a great time. It's as good as it's ever been. We've got links in the description below. Thank you once again to Moon Studios for sponsoring today's video, and of course, as always, thanks to all of you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.